Far beyond the distant planets, beyond the icy bodies that circle the outer reaches of our solar system, a silent machine continues its endless journey through the darkness. Decades ago, it left Earth carrying humanity's curiosity into the unknown. It was never designed to discover civilizations, uncover cosmic mysteries, or answer humanity's oldest questions. Its mission was far simpler: explore, observe, and report. Yet sometimes the universe has different plans. As the spacecraft traveled farther from the Sun, familiar landmarks disappeared one by one. The giant planets became faint memories. The warmth of sunlight weakened until it was little more than a distant glow. Around the probe stretched a vast ocean of darkness unlike anything experienced closer to home. For years, everything behaved exactly as expected. Instruments measured particles drifting through space. Sensors recorded subtle fluctuations in magnetic fields. Data arrived at Earth in slow, predictable streams. Scientists examined each transmission and found nothing unusual. Then something changed. The shift was so small that nobody noticed it at first. Hidden within thousands of lines of routine measurements was a tiny anomaly. A pattern that seemed insignificant compared to the enormous volume of information being received every day. Initially, researchers assumed it was a technical issue. After all, the spacecraft was old. Components had operated for decades beyond their intended lifespan. Small errors were inevitable. But the anomaly returned. Days later, another strange reading appeared. Then another. Each occurrence seemed unrelated, yet a closer inspection revealed similarities that were difficult to ignore. The measurements followed a sequence. Not a perfect sequence, but one that repeated often enough to attract attention. Teams began comparing the unusual signals against every known source of interference. Solar activity was ruled out. Instrument malfunctions failed to explain the consistency. Random cosmic events didn't fit the pattern either. The deeper they looked, the stranger things became. The data appeared to suggest movement. Not the movement of the spacecraft itself. Not the movement of particles carried by interstellar winds. Something else. Something that seemed to change position over time. The idea sounded absurd. The region surrounding the probe was expected to be nearly empty. There were no known planets nearby. No mapped asteroids. No significant objects predicted by existing models. Yet the readings implied the presence of something large enough to influence the surrounding environment. Scientists approached the possibility cautiously. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Months of analysis followed. Supercomputers processed decades of archived information. Historical records were re-examined. Old measurements that had once appeared meaningless suddenly became important. The results revealed something unexpected. Several previous anomalies, separated by years, shared characteristics with the new observations. Individually they seemed insignificant. Together they formed a pattern. A pattern stretching across time. Researchers couldn't determine exactly what they were seeing, but one possibility continued to emerge. There might be an unidentified object somewhere in the vast darkness beyond the solar system. The thought sparked intense debate. Some argued the evidence remained too weak to draw conclusions. Others believed the similarities were too striking to dismiss. As discussions continued, new transmissions arrived. This time the anomaly appeared stronger. The spacecraft's instruments detected subtle disturbances in the surrounding magnetic environment. Tiny variations emerged where none were expected. Again, natural explanations were considered first. Interstellar space is not completely empty. Invisible structures exist throughout the galaxy. Streams of charged particles travel immense distances. Magnetic fields weave through the cosmos in ways scientists are still trying to understand. Perhaps the probe had entered a previously unknown region. Perhaps an unusual cloud of material surrounded it. Perhaps entirely new physics was responsible. Yet every explanation raised additional questions. The disturbances didn't behave like known interest. Instead of appearing random, they displayed an unusual consistency. Almost as though they originated from a single source. Meanwhile, astronomers on Earth began examining observations from powerful telescopes. They searched the area surrounding the spacecraft's trajectory. Nothing obvious appeared. No glowing object. No visible structure. No unmistakable target. If something existed out there, it remained hidden. Weeks passed. Then another surprise emerged. A team studying archived records noticed a curious coincidence. Years earlier, a different spacecraft traveling through a neighboring region had recorded a brief unexplained anomaly. At the time it attracted little attention. Now the measurements looked strangely familiar. The resemblance wasn't perfect. But it was enough to raise eyebrows. Suddenly researchers found themselves asking a difficult question. Had similar events occurred before without anyone recognizing their significance? The possibility transformed the investigation. Instead of focusing solely on recent data, scientists expanded their search through decades of observations. They reviewed records from spacecraft, telescopes, and monitoring stations across the world. Patterns began appearing where none had been noticed before. Most turned out to be false leads. Some were explained by instrument limitations. Others resulted from ordinary cosmic activity. But a handful remained stubbornly unexplained. These unresolved cases shared subtle characteristics. Similar timing. Similar magnetic signatures. Similar environmental disturbances. None provided definitive proof of anything extraordinary. Yet together they hinted at a mystery that refused to disappear. Public interest eventually grew. Speculation spread rapidly. Some imagined hidden objects drifting through interstellar space. Others suggested unknown natural phenomena. More imaginative theories proposed advanced civilizations, ancient probes, or technologies beyond current understanding. Scientists remained cautious. They emphasized uncertainty. The available evidence did not support dramatic conclusions. Still, the unanswered questions were fascinating. What could create such unusual measurements? Why did certain patterns appear repeatedly? And why were they being detected now? The spacecraft continued transmitting. Every signal required many hours to reach Earth. By the time a message arrived, the probe had already traveled millions of kilometers farther into the darkness. Researchers waited patiently. Then another intriguing discovery emerged. But not entirely random either. Several independent teams analyzed the data. Each reached slightly different conclusions. Some believed the oscillations originated from interactions between magnetic fields. Others suggested turbulence within the interstellar medium. A few proposed entirely new mechanisms that had never been observed directly. No consensus emerged. Instead, the mystery deepened. As months turned into years, the investigation evolved into one of the most intriguing puzzles in deep space science. The spacecraft itself remained unaware. It continued drifting forward exactly as it always had, carrying humanity's questions deeper into the cosmos. Every transmission represented a snapshot of a place no human would ever visit. A place beyond direct exploration. A frontier where knowledge depended entirely on distant signals. Meanwhile, advances in artificial intelligence transformed data analysis. Modern algorithms discovered relationships invisible to earlier methods. Hidden structures within enormous datasets became easier to identify. Researchers hoped new techniques would finally solve the mystery. Instead, they uncovered additional anomalies. Some appeared connected. The more information they gathered, the more complex the picture became. It was as though the universe was revealing layers of a story nobody fully understood. Invisible boundaries. Magnetic corridors. Enormous regions shaped by forces operating across light years. If true, spacecraft could occasionally encounter environments unlike anything found within our solar system. Yet it still failed to explain every observation. These outliers kept the debate alive. Years passed. The spacecraft ventured farther into the unknown. Its power slowly declined. Instrument by instrument, systems were shut down to conserve energy. Engineers carefully managed remaining resources. Each additional day of